So I have taken on a new project. This one is something that I've never done before. This is a RC era C189 MD500, and due to the influence of peer pressure from some of the guys on the Rotorflight Discord, I have decided to attempt to convert it to Rotorflight. Now, I'm not the first to do this, and I certainly won't be the last. There's some really good examples from some guys on there. The C189 is, from what I've heard, fairly well suited to this because it's got dual brushless motors, and the servos are just like regular servos, and I just kind of wanted to try it out, so here we are. I did also get one of the C186s. This one's considerably smaller. This is a BO105. However, I'm not doing it right now because it's going to be a little bit more involved because it's got brushed motors and it's just a lot smaller, harder to work with. So I'm going to do the 189 first, and if it turns out well and I like it, I'll do this one. So I guess the first step is going to be to take it apart. And I think the easiest way of doing that is to get a screwdriver and start taking screws out until it comes apart. So that's what I'm going to do. Like a pin, just like a press fit pin at the top right here. There we go. Alright, wow. Here is the airframe, and the plan is to reuse this battery and fly with it. It's actually pretty darn cool. It's fully contained. You just drop it in and it charges with the USB. So the plan is to reuse that battery just so I don't have to figure out a battery for it. Makes it easy. Alright, so now that I have access to the airframe, I am going to see what it takes to get the gyro unit off, the original one. And I can't tell if that's a removable part. It looks like it is. So if we're lucky, I can just set it right on top of here, right in front of the motor where this one is, and it should just fit, hopefully. We will see. Alright, so it looks like we've got some things sticking out here. As far as mounting goes, I think the easiest solution is going to be to grind those flat, flush with the surface of this on the edge, and then use the double-sided tape just within this part. I may need 2 layers, I'm not sure, but I think that's the easiest solution to this, because it does look like it'll fit, thankfully. It sticks out a tiny bit, but there is room in the canopy, so hopefully I can grind those down and then stick this down. Alright, so that looks pretty decent, I would say. So basically I'm just going to put a piece of tape from about here to there. It doesn't need to really cover the whole thing, so that should work. Alright, so we've got this kind of mostly sorted right now. Before I go any further with installing electronics or anything, I'm going to get my flight controller set up. With this adapter board, I need to wire all of these connections to the flight controller. And I do that using just some silicone wire. So basically, I wire it up just like this. I'll run the wires, from here to here, here to here, here to here, and then I just fold it up on top of itself. But in order to know which pins to run to on the flight controller, I need to use the pin remapping tool that Rotorflight has available. I'll have a link to that in the description. But I need to do that. Alright, so I'm not going to explain to you how you do this. You just need to go to rotorflight.org/docs/tutorial-setup/remapping and check it out. This explains it a lot better than I can, so just go here. Anyway, I'm going to do that, and I'll see you in just a sec. Alright, so now I know what my assignments are for the pins. I just need to run the jumpers. So I'm just going to use this cable that came with the flight controller, because I don't need it, and should be good to go. Alright, so here is our stack. It looks like it should be fairly well laid out. Now just to find some hardware that will hold this all together. I can't use the stuff that comes with it because I need to find screws that will not extend past the bottom of the circuit board so that it can be mounted flat. And there it is. The complete flight controller stack. So I've just done a little bit of dry fitting here, and unfortunately this is not going to fit like that, like I was hoping to do, because it hits the canopy up front. I was hoping that it would work, but it will not. So I think what I'm going to have to do is turn it sideways like this, and then turn the stack back this way, and then just have the circuit board here sideways like that. And I think that'll work. It does seem to close up all the way, so I just need to, I'm probably going to have to replace all these wires, unfortunately, unless I'm lucky enough that I can twist it and it still works, but probably not. So let's give it a shot, though. Oh, wow. That might actually work. Heck yeah. I can just do it like that. And then it'll be sitting in the heli like that. Battery comes out the front like it already does. And that works. I'm going to get out my favorite gyro tape, 3M VHB. It's a brand new roll, haven't even opened it yet. I'm just going to apply right in the middle, trim off that. So it does look like I will need 2 layers. That's fine, I kind of expected that. So I'm going to peel this one off, plastic layer. That's actually about the right size. And make sure it doesn't hit the motor. She is stuck down. I'm gonna do another dry fit just to be safe. Make sure I'm not crazy. that looks like it's gonna work. It's a little tight up there, but it does go on, so should be good to proceed. Alright, so I've got some 18 gauge wire that's considerably longer, and I guess I gotta take this off. And then I can just desolder these wires and solder the new ones on. And with the battery connected, I should be able to spin up at least one of these motors. All good? Now, one thing to note is motor 1 is my tail motor, and that's backwards, which I said would happen because on this is motor 2, but I couldn't reach with the motor wires as short as they are, so I'm just going to swap the resources in Rotorflight, which should be fairly easy to solve. I just need to swap these two. I think I can do that. Yeah. So I can just go in here, copy this to CLI, and it swapped them. And now, in theory, under motors, main 1, motor 1, main motor, nice. Cool. Now I'm going to go into servos and check that the frequencies are reasonable. I don't know what frequency these servos are rated to run at, so I'm going to set them to 50 Hertz just to start with, so that when I plug them in, they don't immediately explode into a million pieces. So I suppose at this point, be a good time to plug in the servos. Nope, it moved. Nice. Plug it into Servo 2. Got another one, and Servo 3. It looks like all 3 servos are indeed working. Just kidding, I lied. Oh, right, I forgot to swap the servo to RX6. And after making that swap, we do indeed have all 3 servos working. Excellent. So I was just messing around with this, and originally I thought that the board itself was hitting the inside of the canopy, but it was actually this part right here on the other side, this one right here, was hitting the PCB right here. So I just turned it off, and now it fits perfectly. I also noticed that with the fuselage on, the USB port is blocked. Just like a little bit, enough that I can't plug something in. So I went into my RadioMaster Nexus box, and the Nexus comes with this little cable, a USB extension, and I think that will work just perfectly. So I'm gonna plug that in there and probably just hot glue this like right there. Perfect. Had to take a brief intermission to try to fix this servo because it decided to strip itself out for some reason. I think I've got it. I just flipped one of the gears around, and it seems to be working, so maybe we're fine. But I did buy a couple spares just in case this one bites the dust. So we'll see what happens. And put it back together now. And while I had it apart, I printed this replacement anti-rotation guide that is supposed to fix the swash phasing on this helicopter. This is Jonas's idea. So I'm going to install this instead of the original one. So unfortunately, I've hit a little bit of a roadblock. This servo is done for. I've looked around through various servos, old, cheap servos, and unfortunately, none of the gears that I can find are compatible. Originally, I thought that just swapping that gear around to the non-strip side would work, and it would have, had the pinion not melted and become unusable. I can't find it here, but it's around here. It's off at an angle and pretty much useless, So I guess while I wait for that servo to come in, I'll do what I can, and then once that comes in, I'll get it swapped out and get this thing going. Alright, we've got the servo missing, but we've got the motors working, turning the correct direction, and the tail motor's working. Got a super slow spool up on it for realism. Cool. I actually just went ahead and ordered a C190 servo from HeliDirect, and they look very similar to these. They look the same, but with a different color servo wire, so I don't know why, but worst case, I'm hoping that even if the servo itself doesn't fit, the gears will, and I can just swap them into the old servo, and we'll be good. So we will find out what happens here in a few days. So this just came in the mail. It is a JST GH connector kit. Mainly these ones are the ones I need, as well as all these wires. I'll be using these to wire up the receiver because I didn't have a GH header till now. So I pulled out these 4 wires, and I'm going to wire this up. Twist this up. There you go. So now I can unsteel this receiver and put it back in the M2. For the tape, I've got this super ultra thin double-sided tape. It's made for fixing foams mostly, but it's super nice stuff. I usually fold it in half, just a random size piece like that, and strip off the plastic on one side, put it up against the receiver, and pull it up on the other side. To go. I just need to update the ELRS receiver with my bind phrase. Nice. Making progress. Alright. I've got a servo. Looks pretty similar. Hopefully it fits. I also received in the mail. Man, I hate this kind of packaging. Ugh. I got these NeoPixel 5mm LEDs. They are, full color NeoPixel 2812 LEDs. And I'm going to be using those to try to replicate what somebody did on Discord with this thing, which is to use Rotorflight for LEDs. Navigation lights and all that. So I'm going to be trying that too. But first, I am going to do the little tail LED there. It's just a red LED. I'm going to do that. That just gets connected straight to power. Luckily, this board has pads all along the edge there, and this will reach perfectly. So all I need to do is find out what voltage this is intended to be run at, and we'll be good to go. And the rest, the RGB ones, will go to that LED pad right there. Now I can tell that the LED already has a resistor in series with it. You can see it right here. So I think I'm just going to plug it into 3.3 volts and see if it's bright enough. If it's not, I can do 5, but I'm just going to try it. See what we got. Turned on for a second, then went out. Interesting. I mean, that's clearly a resistor right there. Unless it's not. Oops. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't think whatever that is a resistor. I think it's just there. Maybe it just is an extension. Unfortunately, I did just immediately blow up that LED, because if there is no resistor there, that should only be getting like 2 volts, and instead it got 3.3. So I'm gonna have to replace that LED. But I think I will replace it with a bigger one, if possible. Just gotta figure out how it's in here in the first place. Just gotta see if there's room, because that's all I have on me is 5mm LED. So I'll figure out how that comes out and see if I can stuff a 5 in there. Okay, it doesn't look particularly hard to modify this. I think if I just cut the whole black part out, as well as the LED, this pretty much comes up only a little bit higher than the original LED did. So I might just try that. Even better, it just pops off. Just need to enlarge that hole to fit the LED, and should be able to shove it in there. Alright, let's see what kind of damage we can do here. There we go. So I should be able to straighten it out. Theoretically, I should be able to pull this back down. There we go. Don't even need to glue it. Look at that. Perfect. Alright, let's go ahead and test this LED real quick, since I just kind of squished all the wires in there. This is set to 2 volts. There we go. Looks good to me. Well, I don't have any 65 ohm, but I do have a 100 and a 220. And thanks to the magic of paralleling resistors, that puts me at 68. Very close to what I'm trying to go for, so I'm going to do that. Okay, that was way too tedious to do on camera, but I got it. It's a little bulky, but it'll do the job. And there we are at 3.3 volts, 20 milliamps. Spot on. Alright, you got it wired up, resistor there, wired up to 3.3 volts right there. Let's give her a try. Perfect. Looks great. Alright, so I'm kind of looking into how to do this LED here. And according to this video, he's got the LED right here, right in front of the black part. So the plan's pretty much to do just that. I'm going to Dremel a hole right in the middle of these 2 halves, and then make it fit this. Good size, just need to clean it up now. Alright, got it cleaned up a little bit, had a little bit of marker residue. That looks pretty alright. So what I'm probably going to do is glue it into half of it, and gluing it in to 1/2, and then having that half be the part that's attached to the airframe most of the time. I'm thinking probably this side, since the servos are here. I think that'll be a good solution. So now that we got that figured out, partially, the floodlight has actually got a hole already made for it in the canopy right there. So I'm just going to use that hole for the floodlight. You can see there, it just goes in there like that. And of course Adafruit gives the pin out. So data in 5 volts on the left, ground, and data out on the right. And that JST connector kit comes in clutch again, because now I have wire that I can use to wire it up. Alright, so this stuff is entirely too small to show you while I'm actually soldering it, but I got it. Here's the LED soldered up. Before I do a whole lot, I'm going to go ahead and solder up to the flight controller here and just test it, make sure it works, and if it does, we'll go from there. Alright, so there it is soldered up to the flight controller. I guess the only thing left to do is plug it in and see what happens. Aha, nothing, because I haven't configured the LEDs yet. I'm running into a little dilemma, because if I turn on LED strip, I get an error in this, and no matter what I do with the timer, it's still there. I'm gonna try to find another pin for the LED, but we'll see. Alright, I think I got it. We got LED strip, I had to move it to TX6. No errors. And TX6 isn't terribly far away from where I already am, so we'll try that. I just copied this guy's Discord post. We're on the wrong LED, but it's working. This is the one that would go underneath, pointed down. So I decided I don't really feel like messing with Betaflight LEDs and figuring out how they work. So I decided to make my life more difficult in the soldering department and run them in series like this. And I decided that the first one, since the first one that was lighting up was the under red LED, the blinks, I'm just going to do that. And then this one's going to go wherever it needs to go. I don't know if he has the one up here next or the one on the nose next. I'm hoping it's the one up here, and then we'll go from there. I had to flip this wire facing that way so that I had a little bit of extra length. I can't decide if I want to run it on this side of the airframe down to here, or if I want to hide it down behind the airframe here. I think I'm going to do it on the inside. That looks pretty alright. Let's try it out. Oh yeah, that lines up perfectly. I think with that organized pretty well, I think I'm going to go ahead and get this fuselage attached on this side. I think I might actually try and glue it to the little battery area thing there instead of the fuselage. Just kind of blob some hot glue on it, hold it there. So I basically just squirted some hot glue on it and then put this on. And I think that looks pretty darn good. So the plan now is to run this up here, and this one I probably will have to glue in, and then run another 3 wires back down this channel up to the front nose cone. Alright, and there's that. Unfortunately, I did have to extend the leads because the wires that came in that JST kit weren't quite long enough to run all the way from here to the front, so. But we're good. We've got functional LEDs here and here, and then this one's going to be the one on the canopy. I think it's about time to glue that LED in right there. Nice. And here we go. Nice. One left. Alright, we got the last LED wired up. This is the spotlight that goes on the front, and if I hit my switch, it comes on. We've got all the lighting now. I don't know what this yellow mode is, but this is the regular mode, and that's spotlight mode. Awesome. Working perfectly. And with the canopy on. Nice. Alright, I think I'm ready to go ahead and put the fuselage together and run some final checks on it. I think I am going to reposition this receiver though. I don't like where it is underneath the motor or battery wires. Let's see if we can't get that somewhere else. That should work. Sweet. Go ahead and plug it in and make sure everything still works. There we go. Guess I can go ahead and test the motor and stuff. Maybe not. What does that mean? Alright, let's get her plugged in. Alright, it took some investigation and some chatting with PDK and a random thread on the BetaFlight GitHub to find the solution, but I figured it out and we are working. We've got lights and that mode, and we've got spinning. Well, I think it's about time we get some blades on this thing and try it out. What do you think? She will fly tomorrow. It's too dark now. But it looks good.